Hello, I'm very glad to be with you today. I'm Georgia Konstantia Karagianni. I'm from Karditsa, which is in central Greece. My basic studies is in English language and literature, and I hold two master degrees, one in new forms of education and learning. The second one is in language education in migrants and refugees. I'm also a PhD student. Well, I'm not too young, but I'm a PhD student in the field of open and online education. And to be more precise, I try to check, let's say, whether online education encourages and promotes metacognition skills and autonomous learning, which I find very interesting. Currently, I'm serving as the head of the Department of Educational Affairs at the Directorate of Secondary Education of Karditsa. And I'm also president of Educom Plus, which is a teachers association. I think that all these would describe me in a very complete way, let's say. Well, yes, it's dated many, many years back. Actually, I think that my passion was something that was created thanks to my father. My father was a teacher, a primary education teacher. He had been serving education for 37 years. He was a very passionate teacher, and I remember that when I was a little kid, you know, I used to, let's say, overhear him talking to my mother about the students that he had at school, some weaker students that he was trying to help. To be honest, now that I reflect on all this, I think that he was very innovative, let's say, for his age, and very inspirational. And all these, let's say, all this input I had during my childhood about education and all this learning process, I think it inspired me in deciding to become a teacher, because actually I wanted to do what my father had done. I wanted to help kids learn a better future. I wanted, let's say, to influence them for a better life. And I really think that teachers are change makers. So I just wanted to be a change maker, you know, myself. Well, yes, ecology of e-learning is something that I'm very keen on. Well, it's a metaphorical term, let's say. It's a simulation, you know, to an ecosystem. But when we refer to the ecology of e-learning, we actually refer to the combination of individuals, of texts, of space, and of technology. So the new item, let's say, the new element is the technology. Technology, of course, is pedagogically neutral. So in e-learning technology, we, let's say, try to make media, to make technology be pedagogically positive, to be part of the learning process. E-learning ecology tries, let's say, to bring about the transformation in education. It's not about replacing, let's say, an old textbook with a new book, because this is not something, you know, very important. But we try to have more, let's say, semiotic sources. We try to have images, we try to have audio, we try to have videos. So all these together form a new learning ecosystem where technology has a central role. In short, I think that this is how I would define, let's say, e-learning ecology. Well, technology plays a vital role already, especially after the COVID era. I think that technology is it's an integrated part, let's say, of everyday learning process. Well, I actually think that it does play a very important role, both for teachers and for learners. When it comes to teachers, I think that technology provides them with very important digital tools that they can use in class to make their classes more motivational, more inspirational, more inclusive, because they can engage students who are might be weaker due to learning disorders or to other, let's say, disorders. For example, students who lack adequate knowledge of English or of the language which is spoken in a country. They can be engaged through some digital tools, and they can be part of what is happening in class. So it's beneficial for both teachers and students. I think it can really transform the traditional class. It gives a chance to, let's say, act beyond the curriculum, because teachers can be flexible and can be creative when they use technology. So I think that with proper use, technology can really transform a class. Well, technology, as I said before, can be inclusive, but it can also be exclusive, because what we have after the COVID era, the reports that come to us prove that, for example, refugee students or students with learning disorders have been left outside education during the pandemic, because they could not handle technology. They lacked, let's say, knowledge. They didn't know how to use WebEx or whatever they had in their disposition. And they also lacked equipment. So I think that schools can help in this. They might provide, let's say, tablets or laptops to some students that school principals know that they don't have, the financial, let's say, capacity to do this, to buy this equipment. And of course, teachers can help students learn how to use technology. So in this way, technology can become inclusive, and in this way, no child will be left, let's say, outside the learning process when they have to use digital tools or anything else which is related to technology. And of course, technology can also exclude teachers who are older and do not have this digital, let's say, competence. Because you need to be very, very competent when you want to use all these tools. In Greece, for example, but I think this happens all over Europe as well, or all over the world actually as well. We have teachers who are not very young actually. In Greece, the average is 55 plus. Yeah, this means that all these people fail, let's say, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, to keep up with all this progress that has been happening in education. I mean, every day we have new things happening in education. So you need to be aware, you need to be always updated. So I think that the fact that the population is rather old, allow me to say, is something that, yeah, we should be, we should be doing something about it. All these people need to be retrained, let's say, re-educated on certain fields which are rather new. Apart from that, I think that teachers, some of them, of course, not the majority of them, stick to some more traditional, let's say, more teacher-centered approaches. And I think that they have the need to be taught about more active learning strategies, to be taught about new pedagogical approaches that can free them and their teachers as well, because it's liberating. I mean, when you learn new things, it's like, you feel rejuvenated. I think that it will give them, a fresher look at things. So they need to be retrained. This is what we actually need to do. I think this is something happening all over Europe. Well, to be honest, no, but I mean, of course, we could have more funding on teacher training. But I think that thanks to Erasmus Plus projects, teachers have the chance to be trained abroad, to be able to visit other schools, to do job shadowing with other teachers in other countries. So this exchange of practices, I think, is a very good way to change the perspective and to give all these people this fresher look that we were talking about earlier. Well, apart from these exchange of practices that I mentioned before, I think that we could also have in-service trainings. I mean, schools are communities; they are learning communities. So teachers can learn from each other. We can invest on peer learning, on learning among peers. This is very important, and I also think that teachers learn through fora, through their participation in fora. I mean, there they see that other people face the same problems as them, so they feel very comfortable in opening up and sharing their problems. So all these, I think, help them not feel alone, because loneliness is another thing that teachers feel sometimes. They feel that they're not capable of handling some issues and they're alone in this. So when you enter online communities, you actually feel like part of a very big company where other people share same problems as you. So I think that participation in these online communities could be a real solution to this problem. Well, actually, I would be very, very, very happy if schools were more inclusive, if schools were more open, if schools were more flexible, if schools could embrace diversity without, presuppositions, let's say, and without barriers. I would be very happy if schools had no curricula, because sometimes they are restrictive as well. I mean, if teachers were given, the freedom to design what their students actually need, I think that we would have very meaningful education happening. So inclusive, open, and student-friendly schools. This is my vision, actually, with more space for learning, but open spaces without restrictions.